Britain in the 1960s built cars the world envied. Coventry, Birmingham, and Longbridge hummed with ambition, chasing speed, luxury, and innovation in equal measure. Some machines from that decade became untouchable legends. Others, despite every advantage on paper, quietly vanished from memory. This is a story about that second group. Cars with brilliant engineering, famous badges, and genuine promise, undone by timing, boardroom decisions, or a single fatal flaw nobody could ignore. Not every failure looked like one at launch. Some looked unstoppable. By the time we reach number 1, you'll understand exactly how a British masterpiece can disappear almost overnight. Let's begin with number 10. Number 10, Hillman Imp. The Hillman Imp arrived in 1963 carrying genuine engineering brilliance. Its rear-mounted, all-aluminium engine derived from Coventry Climax racing knowledge, paired with independent suspension and a 4-speed gearbox offering synchromesh on every ratio. On paper, this was Britain's answer to the Mini, arguably more sophisticated. But the real problem wasn't the design. It was where the Imp was built. Roots constructed a brand new factory at Linwood, near Glasgow, staffed largely by workers unfamiliar with car assembly. Quality control suffered immediately. Water pumps failed. Head gaskets blew. Overheating became infamous, warping cylinder blocks on cars barely off the production line. Dealers, ill-equipped to handle warranty repairs, only deepened public distrust. The Imp's reputation collapsed before its genuine cleverness could be appreciated. Roots never recovered the investment, and industrial unrest at Linwood made things worse still. A car built to rival the Mini instead became a cautionary tale about rushing production. The next entry's downfall came from something far more corporate. Number 9, Sunbeam Tiger. Few British sports cars promised as much excitement as the Sunbeam Tiger. Launched in 1964 with input from Carroll Shelby, it dropped a Ford the 5.8 into the lightweight Alpine Roadster, mirroring the formula that made the AC Cobra legendary. Assembled at Jensen's West Bromwich plant, the Tiger delivered genuine muscle car performance wrapped in classic British roadster styling, and enthusiasts loved it. Nearly 7,000 were sold before disaster struck, not mechanically, but politically. In 1967, Chrysler completed its takeover of the Roots Group. Suddenly, Sunbeam's Halo car was powered by its new owner's fiercest rival. Chrysler had no suitable V8 of comparable size to replace Ford's unit, and rather than negotiate a supply deal, the American company simply killed the Tiger outright. A car with real motorsport pedigree and enthusiastic reviews was axed not because it failed customers, but because corporate ownership found its own engine embarrassing. Would you have seen that coming? The next car's fate was sealed by prestige rather than politics. Number 8, Alvis TE21. Alvis built its reputation on understated British craftsmanship, and the TE21 seemed poised to cement that legacy in the 1960s. Powered by a smooth 3-litre 6-cylinder engine and finished with genuinely luxurious detailing, it offered performance and comfort that rivaled far more famous Marquess. Journalists respected its engineering. Owners praised its refinement. So why isn't the TE21 remembered today? The answer lies in positioning. Against Jaguar, Rover, and Bentley, Alvis simply lacked the prestige to justify its price tag. Buyers seeking status looked elsewhere, regardless of how competent the underlying engineering actually was. Production remained low throughout the decade, hand-built in small numbers that could never achieve economies of scale. Then, in 1965, Rover acquired Alvis outright. Within 2 years, car production had ended entirely. The company redirected toward military vehicles instead. A beautifully engineered tourer, capable of standing alongside the greats, disappeared simply because nobody outside enthusiast circles knew its name. The next car's problem wasn't obscurity. It was something altogether more visible. Number 7, Triumph Vitesse. The Triumph Vitesse looked like exactly the right car at exactly the right moment. Compact, sporty, and fitted with a 6-cylinder engine borrowed from Triumph's saloon range, it promised genuine performance in a package smaller rivals simply couldn't match. Early reviews praised its willing engine and distinctive twin headlamp styling. But underneath sat swing axle rear suspension, a design that could turn dramatically unpredictable at the limit. As power increased through the decade, particularly with the 2-liter models, the handling quirks became harder to ignore. Enthusiastic drivers occasionally found themselves fighting sudden oversteer mid-corner, and word spread. Triumph eventually addressed the geometry, but the damage to reputation lingered. It wasn't unreliability that hurt the Vitesse. It was a chassis that punished exactly the kind of spirited driving its engine encouraged. A car built to reward confidence instead demanded caution. But what happened next involved a badge nobody quite believed in. Number 6. Wolseley Hornet. Built on mini underpinnings but wearing Wolseley's traditional illuminated grille badge, the Hornet tried something clever, wrapping cutting-edge small car engineering in old-fashioned British respectability. For buyers wanting mini practicality without feeling like they'd bought a budget runabout, it seemed a genuinely smart compromise. The extended boot and additional chrome trim gave it a more grown-up presence than its Austin and Morris siblings. But therein lay the confusion. Was it a premium small car or simply a dressed-up mini with a higher price tag? Buyers couldn't quite decide, and neither, it seemed, could BMC's marketing. Positioned awkwardly between segments, the Hornet never carved out a clear identity of its own. Sales remained modest throughout its run, overshadowed constantly by the standard Mini's cult status and lower price. A car with genuine badge engineering ambition instead became a footnote, remembered mainly by specialists rather than the wider public. Could clever engineering alone have saved it? Not without a clearer sense of who it was actually for. Next comes a car whose ambition outpaced its market entirely. Number 5. Jensen FF. In 1966, Jensen unveiled something genuinely revolutionary, the FF, the world's first non-off-road production car with permanent four-wheel drive, alongside pioneering anti-lock brakes. Named Car of the Year by respected critics, it was, technically speaking, years ahead of Audi's later Quattro system. This should have been Britain's defining automotive breakthrough. Instead, it became an expensive curiosity. The complex drivetrain, borrowed from Ferguson research, forced both propeller shafts into the passenger footwell, making left-hand drive versions physically impossible to build. That single engineering constraint locked the FF out of crucial export markets entirely. Worse, the sophistication came at a steep cost, roughly 30% above its closely related Interceptor sibling. Buyers weighing genuine innovation against raw expense mostly chose the cheaper, simpler car instead. Barely 320 FFs were built before production ended in 1971. Groundbreaking technology, brilliant execution, and almost nobody bought it. Sometimes being first isn't enough. The next car's failure came from something far more old-fashioned, pure image. Number 4. Sunbeam Rapier. The Sunbeam Rapier began the 1960s as roots rakish, aspirational coupe, blending American-influenced styling with genuine sporting pretensions and a famous competition pedigree from Alpine rally success. Through successive series updates, engineers steadily improved it, and by the mid-1960s the Series V was, by most accounts, the best Rapier yet, faster, smoother, and more refined than ever. But the market had moved on without it. The Mini Cooper and Roots' own Hillman Imp offered a newer kind of accessible performance, while the Triumph 2000 and Ford Cortina GT delivered fresher, more contemporary alternatives at similar money. Despite genuinely positive reviews, the Series V simply didn't sell. Fewer than 4,000 were built before it was discontinued in 1967. A car that had actually gotten better with age was abandoned not because it failed, but because everything around it had quietly changed. Was the problem really the car, or the world moving past it? Number 3. Gordon Keeble GK1. Few cars arrived with credentials as impressive as the Gordon Keeble GK1. Styled by a young Giorgetto Giugiaro at Batonne, powered by a muscular Chevrolet V8, and capable of genuinely startling performance, it seemed destined to rival Aston Martin and Jaguar. The 1964 launch impressed critics enormously, praising its comfort, pace, and sophisticated Dion rear suspension. This should have been Britain's answer to the great Continental Grand Tourers. Instead, Catastrophic pricing decisions doomed it from the start. Gordon Keeble priced the GK1 so low that profitability was mathematically almost impossible, hoping volume would eventually follow. It never did. Then a prolonged strike at their steering box supplier halted production entirely during a critical period, starving the fragile company of cash exactly when momentum mattered most. By spring 1965, after barely 80 cars, the company collapsed into liquidation. A brief revival followed, then failure again. Beautiful, capable, and priced into oblivion. But even this wasn't the biggest missed opportunity in our countdown. Number 2. Austin 3 Litre. British Motor Corporation's flagship executive saloon should have crowned an illustrious range. Announced in 1967 and finally reaching showrooms the following year, the Austin 3 Litre paired a smooth 6-cylinder engine with genuine ride comfort and a spacious cabin. On paper, it targeted judges, civil servants, and gentlemen farmers wanting dignified, understated luxury. The problem was everything surrounding it. Sharing doors and central bodywork with the humbler 1800 Land Crab saloon, it looked awkwardly proportioned, an oversized family car wearing an ill-fitting long bonnet. Critics nicknamed it the Land Lobster. Worse, timing was disastrous. It launched just as British Leyland absorbed Rover, Triumph, and Jaguar, brands with genuine prestige heritage that instantly overshadowed Austin's flagship ambitions. Why choose an unconvincing Austin over an established Rover P6 or Triumph 2000? Buyers agreed, and sales never approached viability. Fewer than 10,000 were built across 3 miserable years. A car launched into a market that no longer needed it, wearing a badge nobody respected enough. But nothing compares to what almost became Britain's Rolls-Royce for the masses. Number 1. Vanden Plas Princess for Litre R. Imagine a car carrying genuine Rolls-Royce engineering, priced within reach of successful professionals rather than aristocrats alone. That was the extraordinary promise behind the Vanden Plas Princess for Litre R, launched in 1964. Beneath its bonnet sat an all-aluminium, 6-cylinder Rolls-Royce FB60 engine, delivering effortless cruising well beyond 90 miles per hour, genuinely embarrassing rival saloons costing considerably more. The pedigree alone should have guaranteed lasting classic status. Initial demand surged, buyers thrilled at owning something with authentic Rolls-Royce credentials at a fraction of silver cloud money. But cracks appeared quickly. Unreliability issues emerged across the drivetrain, undermining confidence in a car built specifically to project effortless quality. Meanwhile, its dated 3-litre-derived bodywork looked increasingly old-fashioned beside sharper contemporary rivals, confusing buyers about whether they were purchasing genuine luxury or dressed-up Austin underpinnings. Sales collapsed from that early peak to barely a trickle, and BMC quietly discontinued the model in 1968 without replacement. A car combining crew engineering with mass-market pricing should have redefined British luxury motoring entirely. Instead, it became the industry's most poignant unfulfilled promise, a genuine Rolls-Royce heart trapped inside a car nobody quite trusted enough to love. 10 cars, 10 different reasons, 1 shared lesson. Becoming a genuine classic was never simply about beauty, price, or even brilliant engineering. Timing mattered. Corporate decisions mattered. Reputation, once damaged, rarely recovered. Britain's motor industry produced remarkable ambition throughout the 1960s, yet history remembers survivors far more kindly than near misses. These 10 cars remind us how thin that line between legend and footnote really was. Which one surprised you most? Which deserved a second chance history never gave it? Tell us in the comments below, we genuinely read every one. If stories like this fascinate you, subscribe to Britain Rewind for more forgotten chapters of British motoring history. Some cars are remembered forever. Others simply deserve to be.